Everybody wants to be cool. Everybody wants to be happy. Unless you're in the United Kingdom and you're Microsoft trying to acquire Activision Blizzard. I should not. I should be live. I want to check real fast to make sure this is working. Believe it or not, I actually figured out how to do this. At least with two different screens. Let me see if this works. Make sure this is working. Believe it or not, I actually figured out how to do this. At least with two different screens. Let me see if this works. This is working. It is, but I hear Kirby behind the scenes, which I don't want to hear that. So what we're gonna do is we are going to. I don't know if it's media source 1 or media source 2. So what I'll do is I'll lower that. All right. I should still be good. So the CMA recommends second phase of Microsoft Activision investigation. Phase 1 raises concerns over substantial lessening of competition in the UK. So what does this mean? Before I begin reading this, I don't know what this means. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But I can tell you that the people who are looking into this are not interested in Twitter. They're not interested in console wars. They're not doing this because they hate Microsoft or because they love Sony. They're doing this because they want to make sure that an emerging market like streaming, like subscription services, is not dominated from the outset by one particular company, the way that Zuckerberg did with social media apps like Facebook. What's the alternative to Facebook? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. There is none, really. And that's what they want to make sure doesn't happen because they missed it. Why did my throat go like that? They missed it when it came to social media apps like Facebook, and they don't want to do that again. Oh, yeah. When it comes to Game Pass and subscription services. So, it says, the Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, sounds like a really bad music award show, doesn't it? Has decided that Microsoft's record-breaking acquisition of Activision Blizzard may affect competition within the UK. The Phase 1 ruling, issued September 1st, said that, quote, the merger may be expected to result in substantial lessening of competition within a market or markets in the UK, end quote. Okay. The only thing I can think of that they're thinking of is this emerging market, this competition, subscription services. They don't want one person to be in charge of everything while at the same time saying that, hey, we're going to play fair. We're going to play fair. Trust us, we're going to play fair. It's kind of difficult to play fair when you're holding all the keys to every car. Or there's only one key to every car. There's tons of choices, lots of cars, only one key called Windows. As a result, the deal is expected to be referred for an in-depth Phase 2 investigation unless both Microsoft and Activision, quote, offer acceptable undertakings to address these competition concerns, end quote. The UK regulator gathered thousands of internal documents and data from both parties to understand its businesses and concluded that the completion of the merger could affect competition in two ways. The first being the deal could see Microsoft, quote, withholding or degrading Activision Blizzard's content from other consoles or subscription services. Now, I can already hear what you're saying out there in Twitter land, that Microsoft and Phil Spencer promised. They promised that all of that content will be released day and date on PlayStation and any other particular platform in the future. Okay. The degradation of that content is something that they're looking at too, because you can release Call of Duty, but it might not have, say, every map. We might have maps exclusive to our subscription services, and you might say, well, Sony's doing that right now with some maps in Hogwarts Legacy, right? It's a little different because once you have a service, it adds to the value of it, and it degrades everyone else's. So it's not the same. I know you want it to be the same out there in Twitterland, but it's not. The second point being, Microsoft could leverage its broader ecosystem together with Activision's catalog to, quote, raise barriers to entry and foreclose rivals in cloud gaming services. So I don't think that anybody with a reasonable mind thinks that Microsoft is doing this just because they love everybody, right? They love you. They want you to play games anywhere. They're just buying all of these things because they just love the industry so much. And once they purchase them, they want to give them to you for free. It's like knocking on a door this Halloween, saying trick or treat. Somebody gives you candy for free. Then you go about your business. You never see them again. They don't care. They don't care. They spent that money. They gave it to you. That's not what Microsoft's doing. That's not what Apple does. That's not what anybody does in business. They want to leverage the strengths of the purchases that they make to make sure that they're on top. What's clever about what Microsoft's doing is this illusion of, hey, everything's going to be everywhere. Just subscribe to our service. You can get into the schoolyard where all of the toys are. You want to play on those swings? Go play on those swings. You want to play on those other swings? Go play on those other swings. The slide, anything you want to do is fine as long as you walk through this door called Windows, called Game Pass, called OS. That's fine. Then you have all the choice. No choice up front. Walk through. Choice. The ruling also highlights that Microsoft having control franchises such as, this is a poorly written. I hate when I go read articles, professional articles, and they have spelling issues. The ruling also highlights that Microsoft having control franchises, control over, they forgot the word over for fuck's sake, franchises such as Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, World of Warcraft, and Candy Crush, may result in the firm, quote, harming consumers by impairing Microsoft's closest gaming rival ability to compete. I'm having problems reading. Now you might say, well, why are they concerned with Sony's ability to compete? Why are they only concerned, Twitter, console wars? As well as other existing and potential future rivals that could bring, quote, healthy competition to the gaming market. This is a market that isn't established yet. Services, streaming, all this stuff. They're making sure, that's all they're doing. They're just making sure that anybody right now, and they're thinking about the future, anybody that wants to get into it, right? They want a healthy market. Anybody that's thinking about it has the opportunity to compete. They don't want the door slammed shut at the very beginning by Microsoft. They don't want all the control given to one company at the very beginning. That's what they're looking at. That's all they're doing. From here, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have until September 8th to offer an undertaking to the CMA that proves the deal won't result in a substantial lessening of competition. If substantial evidence is not provided or undertaking is not accepted by the CMA, the investigation will move into Phase 2. Microsoft President and Vice Chair Brad Smith, I have no idea who that is, responded to the CMA's decision and said, quote, we're ready to work with the CMA on next steps to address any of its concerns. Sony, as an industry leader, they had to put that in there, says it's worried about Call of Duty. But we've said we are committed to making the game available on the same day on both Xbox and PlayStation. And Game Pass, we left that out. We want people to have more access to games, not less. See, look, this idea that they want people to have more access to games, right? There's an end goal, guys. They're not like creating a religion and they want everybody to come in and they want to save you. There is a goal in mind here that goes beyond just letting everybody have, unfettered access to games, right? There's a barrier already in place, and it's called Windows. It's their operating system. There's a barrier being given an advantage in competition, maybe being given an advantage in competition, and that's why they're looking at it. And that's called Game Pass. So there's still a barrier in place, and there are still ways to make that barrier strong, to make it almost almost unbeatable. I am a stuttering prick this morning. Almost unbeatable. We'll get into that when we talk about exclusives everywhere. In the U.S., the acquisition has already entered into Phase 2 of a similar investigation by the Federal Trade Commission, which could extend well into 2023. Okay, we already knew that. So, What does this mean? I don't know. Nobody knows what this means. I can tell you that I think that, like Facebook, they're looking at ways to make sure that one person doesn't just monopolize a service. So there's no alternative to Facebook. And there's a reason that there isn't an alternative to Facebook. It's because Zuckerberg bought up everything and made sure that there was no competition to Facebook. They don't want that happening in the subscription service model. So that's why they're looking at it. That's all they're doing. They're looking at it. Nobody on that panel is a PlayStation fanatic or an Xbox fanatic. I can almost guarantee you that everyone on that panel doesn't even play video games. They're just looking at this as something that may or may not allow a market to grow. That's what they're doing. That's it. Now, as far as putting games everywhere, right? Phil Spencer says, I promise to buy you a Coke. I promise to make sure you smile. He promises to put games everywhere. We're going to put it everywhere, guys. Don't worry about it. So what's the end goal? Why are you buying all this stuff? If you just want to give it out, if you just want to be, the savior of gaming and make everyone happy. Of course there's an end goal. The end goal is to make sure that everybody has everything, but when it comes to subscription services, no one can compete. The door is slammed before the house is even built. The door's put in place. That's what they're looking at. That's why the idea of we're going to put games everywhere, no more exclusives, guys. This is something I want to talk about. This leads into Game Pass being something that cannot be competed against. So when he says little Johnny and little Susie buy the wrong piece of plastic and they can't find each other, let's think about the word find each other. How do you find each other in a video game? What kind of video games do you find each other in? Are you looking to find each other in Horizon Forbidden West? Are you looking to find each other in single-player, story-driven narrative games? No, you're not. You're looking to find each other in co-op multiplayer games. So he's already signaling that he doesn't even see a distinction between the two. He's just throwing it out there. Xbox, PlayStation, wrong piece of plastic, they can't find each other. There's no distinction. Well, what about single-player games? Are you saying that God of War and Horizon and Spider-Man, those should come to an Xbox console? Or are you saying they should come to a PC? And if they come to a PC and little Johnny and little Susie have consoles and they can't find each other, because presumably they still wouldn't be able to find each other even if those games were on PC because they're not PC gamers, how do they find each other? Once again, we're funneled back into PC. Isn't that interesting? They want to find each other on a competing device, on a competing service. Let's just get to PC. Well, Johnny, I got my PlayStation on right now, and I'm playing Horizon, and it's wonderful. And you can't play it because you bought the wrong piece of plastic. Why don't you go out and buy PC? Ooh, Microsoft loves that. See, there's always something behind this stuff. This isn't just, them being into making sure everyone has, unfettered access to things. There's always something behind it. It's them looking to have control while appearing to give you anything and everything you want everywhere, every device. So think about the devices. I'm a console gamer. I don't care where Susie is playing her video games. I don't care. If she wants to find me, then she'll have to buy the same piece of plastic that I'm on. Unless we're talking about multiplayer games. And he doesn't even distinguish. He just says they can't find each other. They bought the wrong piece of plastic when it comes to games. Nobody's looking for each other in single-player, action-adventure, story-driven games. And this is why I get nervous, because by saying this, he's signaling, he's telling you that he wants people to find each other, and by definition, you find each other in co-op multiplayer games. So by definition, that's what they're going to focus on. Why would they make a Horizon Forbidden West if they can't find each other? But they are making Starfield. That's single player. Is it? Is it going to be co-op? Is it going to be shared world? It's already procedurally generated? I don't know what's going on. I really don't know. But I do know that you can't just have one service with an unfair advantage. And I'm not saying Game Pass is that, because I don't know. I don't know if buying Activision and buying Blizzard and all these IPs Oh, man, I had to drink something. Hold on one second. Oh, God, it's good. I don't know if that's going to lead to Game Pass being the subscription service that everyone buys, because it seems like everyone's pretty much subscribed to either Nintendo Online. I want to talk about Nintendo later. They are just a beast on an island all by themselves. But the PlayStation subscription services are doing reasonably well. They suck when it comes to their PS1, PS2, and PSP offerings. They absolutely blow donkey when it comes to that. But it may get better, it may get worse. But this idea, that we promise games that we own, IPs that are absolutely huge, IPs that have been established over the years before we even existed as a console, right? Before we even existed as a console, some of these IPs have existed, have garnered audiences, have created brand identity all around the world. We promise that is going to continue. However, all of that is also going to be put into our subscription service for $15 a month, which is going to go up, right? So, of course there's going to be an unfair advantage if somebody's looking to create a subscription service in a subscription market, because you should be able to. Anybody should be able to create anything. But when you take all of the toys before anybody can get into the sandbox, there's nothing left to do. That's what they're looking at. And I'm not saying that's what Microsoft's doing. I'm saying that's probably what they're looking at, because that's what Phil Spencer says. One day he says it's about restricting barriers, it's about broadening our customers and giving them choice. And the very next day, by the way, Starfield is exclusive to the Xbox console. By the way, Redfall is exclusive to the Xbox console. This is where my idea of exclusives might be different from yours. If a game is on a console and on PC, and you're not a PC gamer, you've never been a PC gamer, it's exclusive to the console. Gears of War, to me, is an Xbox game. I played it on the Xbox 360. It was on the PC. I had no idea it was on PC. It's an Xbox game. I've got to buy the console to play it. That's the console I'm buying. Exclusive. I don't care about semantics. I don't care about, well, technically it's not exclusive because it's on another platform. Great. PC doesn't register to me. And millions of other console gamers. So, of course, you're going to need exclusives. Of course, exclusives still matter. Of course, you have to have exclusives even with a subscription service. They're taking the idea of a box that you buy and you take home, and they're telling you that box makes you restricted. That box is locking you in. Those games lock to that box. Well, that's not good. But they're doing the same thing with something that you can't see and you can't touch and you can't hold, a service. It's the exact same sentiment. The exact same. The only difference is they're saying, well, you can plug that service into your laptop, or you can plug that service into your tablet, or you can plug that service into your phone, or you can plug that service into your PC. You can also plug that service into that box that's restricting you there, that evil box under your television, that console. You can even do it there. The fact remains that the content is still being used to lock you in to that particular service. The control is still there. Exclusives still matter to the box, to the service, to the thing you can touch, to the thing you can't touch. They still matter. And no matter how many screens you're on, you have to have content to pull people there. That's why they want these consoles to go away. Because they can't get the audience that's on Nintendo. They can't get the audience that's on PlayStation. They can't make games to pull those people from those platforms. So what do? We try and get rid of those platforms. That's what's happening. Again, I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying it's evil. I'm just telling you that's what's happening. You make the decision for yourself. But there's no way you can explain to me that buying a box, putting it under your... Fuck! Hold on one second. My allergies are kicking my ass. There's no way that you can explain away the idea that buying a box and putting it under your television and then having the platform maker who makes the box have their employees who work for them create exclusive content for that box is bad because you're restricted to that box. While at the same time telling me that being restricted to a service is okay as long as that service is quote unquote everywhere. You have the illusion of choice by playing those games everywhere, but you're still locked. You're still locked into the service. The service, it's clever. They've taken a box and they've dismantled it. It's kind of like digital information, right? You buy a disc, you take it home. If the information's on the disc, it's yours. It's there. You can touch it. Here it is. Digital floats through the air. You download the game, it's floating through the air. While it's in the air, that's the service. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but the content's there. Let's put exclusive content there. And you're locked into that service. It's the same sentiment. That's what they're doing. The exact same. You cannot tell me that buying a box called Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo is limiting you when you have to sign up to a subscription service by Microsoft and called Game Pass. But because you can play all of that stuff on multiple devices, it's somehow freeing. You almost have less choice because you're locked in. You're locked into that service, and all of that content, all of it, is never yours. It could always be taken away at any time and replaced with other content. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm saying this is how I feel about it. You could disagree with me. You could say I'm an old asshole. That's fine. I just don't see the distinction. And I don't like the virtue signaling when it comes to, well, I'm playing this on my phone. I'm playing this on my tablet. Oh my God. I went to Aruba and I was on the beach and I had a jonesing for Gears of War. And I literally pulled out my flip phone, unfolded it, and played Gears of War. I am free. I'm free. Free. The box. I'm free from it. How did you play it? You had to be pulled in and controlled by a service. You had to subscribe to one service. Nobody else could do it. It's the same control. The same. I don't know if my chat's working, by the way, so if anybody's sending a chat, I'm not getting it. I have no fucking idea. I just figured out how to put two sources up. I'm going to switch to my next source pretty soon when I talk about the game that I've been playing. And it's not going to be a game that you're probably going to say is a good game or is a game that adults should be playing. This is not an adult game. This is not an adult game. Why don't you be an adult and run around like a space marine shooting green aliens that bleed purple blood? Because that's mature. Anyway, that's how I feel about what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen. Will it go through? Probably. Will Microsoft, be this savior of gaming and be all about everybody playing things everywhere? Probably not, because no business is going to do that. They're not doing this because they want to be Gandhi in gaming. They're doing this because they want control. They want the control. Here's Call of Duty for $70. Oh, you have a subscription service? Oh, Nintendo, you have a subscription service? Amazon, you have a subscription service? Apple, you have a subscription service? Well, guess what? Good luck. Good luck, because we have exclusives, which is what you need, which is what PlayStation has to keep their audience that Microsoft wants, which is what Nintendo has to keep their audience, which Microsoft will never get. Nobody will ever get. Nintendo will always buy. Everybody wants to be cool. I have a real problem today. Speaking. Nintendo will always make a box, a toy that you put under your television, and they'll always make content for it. They are the Disney of video gaming. They're opening a theme park, folks. Come on. So, that's how I feel when it comes to all this nonsense. Nobody knows what's happening behind the scenes, but I do know that exclusives matter, whether or not they're in a box that you can touch and you can see and you can taste and you can smell underneath your television or through a service. You're telling me, folks, there are people going out buying $1,000 TVs, 8K, 4K, ray tracing, 3D audio, lossless audio. All of this just because there's an app on the television. A fucking app on the television that lets you stream games. Never mind teraflops now. Never mind ray tracing. Never mind input latency. Never mind just graphics that aren't hindered by streaming. Never mind all of that. I'm locked into an app. I'm locked into xCloud. I'm locked into Game Pass. I'm free. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. You've got to be brain dead. All right, so what a game am I playing? Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Guys, gals, whoever. This is probably one of the best 2.5D platformers that I've played in a long time. It's first 2.5 3D Kirby ever. First 3D Kirby ever. But, you know, I consistently come back to Nintendo because all of this talk about graphics and power and, you know, just being able to play third-party games like, and it's usually always the, you know, the multiplayer game, stuff like that. Buck Roger, 70 or bust. Kirby is fantastic. So, yeah, $70 I'll pay. I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care, man. You ever get to the point where you just don't give a shit? I don't care about all this nonsense, all these people arguing. 50-year-old men are talking about fucking families struggling to put food on the table because PlayStation went up. Nobody cares they're struggling to put food on the table about a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Nintendo Switch. They're worried about real-world issues. So, back to Kirby. Not only is the presentation in this game, I mean, this is absolutely top-notch. Animation, the fun factor, the gameplay, just getting through a level. It's not A to B to C and you're done. The copy abilities add so much to the gameplay and going back in and playing this game. It is absolutely a phenomenal experience, and it's why I love Nintendo. I know people get down on them for not allowing third parties to create games because their hardware is quote-unquote weak. But this is why Nintendo is able to weather every storm. They're always a generation behind when it comes to power. That's their strategy. It's not that they don't care. It's that they make sure that all of their costs are in line with their profit and their revenue. The revenue has to lead to profit. They're not going to make cutting-edge technology and take a loss up front and hope that nothing happens bad in the world and they can continue to make money throughout the generation, because bad things happen and they're always ready for it because of the strategy that they have. Now, you might say, well, I want to play cutting-edge games, and games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is another amazing game, don't look good on the Switch. Yes, it's underpowered. Yes, sometimes games struggle to look good resolution-wise, frame rate-wise, but they're still pumping out things that you would never expect to be able to play on the handheld, on the Switch, or the console, like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Just like this. You might say this is a simple game. It's not. It's not. There is so much detail in this game when it comes to the physics alone. Then you talk about games like Luigi's Mansion 3, and you talk about physics. There are more physics in that game, physics-based gameplay in Luigi's Mansion 3 than there is in almost any game on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X. So, you know, I urge you to play games that are fun. Don't get caught up in the idea that somehow you're not an adult if you're playing games like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because this is essentially the DNA of every platformer. If you like platformers, if you like action adventures, if you like gameplay that involves different ways to tackle situations, this is it, right? This is I always say this, Nintendo is like the skeleton of the gaming industry, right? I mean, they are it. So this game is just unbelievable. I'm trying to get through this boss here. Now, you can play this game easy. You can play this game hard. Anybody can jump in and play this game. And that's the charm of it, right? Anybody can play this game. I've been playing for over 40 years, and I love this game. And I'm sure kids who haven't been playing for 40 years love this game. And there's a reason why Kirby is celebrating his 30th anniversary. There's a reason why Nintendo has 55 first-party games that have sold over 1 million copies. And I'm not just talking about, 1 million, that's it. I'm talking about the ones that have sold 1 million are sort of down the bottom of the 55, but I'm talking about IPs that have sold 50 million, 40 million, 30 million, 20 million copies that are exclusive to the Switch, that are first party. So please play this game. I'm having a great time with it. I cannot stop playing it. It consistently surprises me. I'm about to really screw up here. I'm supposed to drop that cone on that platform because, again, a copy ability lets you crack open the floor there, and I screwed it up. So, but you'll see down the bottom here when I hop down this ladder, on the ground there is a crack. Where is it? I think it's down this ladder, but anyway, you needed to get that cone and copy it. The copy abilities are incredible. They give you a lot of depth when it comes to the gameplay. You can go through the level, like I'm saying. You see that crack there on the ground right there. If I had the cone, I'd be able to crack that open and thought I'd find secrets, but you don't need it. There's tons of way to play this game. I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And again, this is why I say "and again" so much. I hate it. And again, this is why Nintendo doesn't have to worry about this stuff, right? Microsoft can buy everything. They're just never ever going to put Nintendo out of business. It's just not going to happen. They're not worried about it because they've created a unique situation for themselves. So if you're worried about this stuff, if you like the idea of consoles and games for the console and just fun, Nintendo's always going to be there. PlayStation, Xbox, in some way, shape, or form, I don't know. But I do know that Kirby and the Forgotten Land is one of the best games that I've been playing, and I just cannot get enough of it. I think the graphics are amazing, the gameplay, the sound. It consistently surprises me. So check it out. Thanks for watching this impromptu 30-minute. I don't know what it's called. I don't have a name for this. I consistently go back and forth with podcast names. I don't know a podcast of one person, so I don't know what to call this shit. I just figured out how to do, 2 different media sources. Like I can switch between this and Fire, or I could switch back, which is pretty cool. And I could probably just add sources and do it like that. I get it. But that's my rant this morning. Thank you for watching if you watched. I'm going to try and do these a little bit more often. That's it. Microsoft wants control. Apple wants control. Google wants control. PlayStation would like control. Nintendo, they've got it because they created a market for themselves that nobody else really wants to compete in. That's it. Is the deal going to go through for Microsoft? I don't know. Let me know what you think. That's going to be it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.